Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is sponsored and dedicated, Love Your Name, Shmat Minya, Hinda Bat Yerachmiel, Aleh Shalom, sponsored by Abby and Ian Huckle. As well, we miss you guys. Also, for the Refuah Shema of Chana Bat Tzemach Feg and Eliyahu Shimon Mazal Fortuné. Breakfast in the Class dedicated, loving memory of Shmuel Shoshani, Alav Shalom Nishmat Shmuel ben Rivka Yosef Habib, Alav Shalom is Askara, sponsored by the Zara family. The year of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated, loving memory of Nishmat Ruth Orfali Bat Adela, Alav Shalom, sponsored by her family. And the week of Kobru is sponsored by David Iash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to do good today and every day. My friends, let us begin. I'd like to begin by wishing everybody Moadim L'Simcha, Hagim Uzmanim L'Sason. Please only answer Amen if you're listening to this live. Baruch Atah Adonai, Elena Melech HaOlam She'akol Nהיה Baro. My friends, last but not least, I'd like to ask every single person who's listening to this class live, wherever you're coming from, to please go to ejsstorahcenter.com, where you can help sponsor our classes. We're running a extended fundraiser. We're trying to get to our goal of 1 million to be able to sponsor all of the Torah classes, all the food, all the equipment, all of the putting of the information out, the people that we hire to do so, the salaries of the people involved. Please, my friends, donate generously. It is sponsoring Torah being disseminated around the world. My friends, let us begin. This morning in shul, something very funny happened. It was not very funny for the guy it happened to. All of a sudden, a very distinguished member of our congregation says, "Where's my etrog?" Everyone says, "What do you mean, where's you? Where'd you put it down?" He says, "I put it in the box." We said, "What do you mean you threw it in the box? Then where is it?" "I don't know." All of a sudden, 10 guys are looking for the etrog. It's nowhere. It's not on the chairs. It's not in between the talitot. It's not on the teba. Nowhere. The etrog is gone. Ve'enenu. Chalas. Gone. We can't find it anywhere. Anyway, I come outside to the breakfast, where I'm doing breakfast at the class in the Sukkah. I shout out loud, "Did anyone happen to see an etrog? Etrog went missing. The guy just put it in his box, came back, the box is empty, we can't find it anywhere." So somebody says, "I saw a kid take an etrog and throw it in the garbage." So I asked him, "Why are you throwing the etrog in the garbage?" He said, "Because it's not kosher." So he said, "Does your father know you're throwing an etrog in the garbage?" I don't know what the kid answered. So I came running back in. I said, somebody said that he saw a kid throw a etrog in the garbage. Maybe that's where it is. Which garbage? This garbage. We open up the garbage. Inside the garbage is a beautiful etrog sitting there in the trash can where this kid had thrown the etrog. Anyway, the guy who lost the etrog, I can't believe this kid don't deserve any more candies. He's throwing etrogim in the garbage. What kind of thing is this? I can't believe it. Anyway, this happened just now. I take a look at the etrog, and the guy said, "Oh, the thing fell off." Now I'm thinking in my mind, the pitom fell off. The halacha is if the pitom fell off, it's not kosher on the first day. It's kosher for the rest of the days of the holiday. Anyway, I take a look at the etrog. It's not the pitom that fell off. It's the oketz, the stem that fell off. Now what's the halacha if a stem falls off? The stem falls off, it's also not a problem. So long as, when the stem falls off, it does not pull the piece from inside the crater at the bottom out with it. So in other words, if the bottom of the stem falls off, but it's flush, the bottom of the etrog, kosher. If when it falls off, it breaks off, it pulls out, so now there's a little divot into the etrog, now a piece of the etrog is missing. That renders the etrog not kosher. So this little boy, 5 years old, who saw an etrog, decided he was the posek chamovadia. He's throwing people's etrogim out. I just want to say, no one should leave their tefillin unattended in the Beit Knesset. Okay, Bar Minan. I'm scared of small Sifrei Torah as well. Who knows what might happen? Okay. This little boy decided he's a posek, but Hashem, like it says in the Gemara, at the end of times, Hashem will give prophecy to whom? To the insane and to the little children. That's what the Gemara says. Time of Mashiach. To shotim and to little kids, to children. The kid never did it before, did it this time. What was he doing? Hashem was saving the person who's using that etrog. Tomorrow, if he would have made a beracha on that etrog, it would have been bracha levatala. God saved him from bracha levatala the rest of the days of the holiday. And who did he do it through? A little child. My friends, this leads perfectly into what I wanted to speak about today. Garbage. No, what I want to speak what I want to speak about today. We've been trying to speak about the ushpizin each day in the Beit Knesset or in the class. And today, we can't not speak about Aharon HaKohen. Each day, when a person has the ushpizin visit them in the sukkah, you're supposed to welcome them in the evening. Ulu ushpizin ilayin kadishin. Right, you welcome them into the sukkah on that day when you're having a meal. And you mention which one of the 7 is coming to the sukkah, and all the others come visit along with him. But that person is the primary force, neshama, present in the sukkah on that day. And whose neshama is present on this day? The neshama of Aharon. Aharon's midah, like all of the other ushpizin, is present in the sukkah, and a person who dwells in the sukkah on that day is able to draw from the holiness and the power of that midah when they're spending the time in the sukkah on the day of that tzaddik, of that neshama. So what is the great and special power of Aharon HaKohen? We know the Mishnah in Avot tells us, Heve mitalmidav shel Aharon. A person should be from the students of Aharon HaKohen. Ohev Shalom. Virodef Shalom. You love peace. Virodef Shalom. And you chase peace. Ohev et habiriyot umikarvan la Torah. What was Aharon's core midah? So everyone always says that Aharon represented and represents Shalom, peace. In fact, the beracha that Aharon HaKohen gives to the Jewish people, both in his time and through his children, throughout the rest of Jewish history, V'yasem lecha Shalom. And that bears out when you look at the Mishnah says, Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. So you look at it, you say, Aharon's midah is the midah of Shalom. And my friends, that is 100% true. But it is not 100% deep. It's a little shallow. Because if you look at the Mishnah, remember that game we used to play? Odd one out, remember that? Or the game we used to play where there'd be in the newspaper 2 pictures of a baseball player standing there with a bat like this, identical. And you got to find the differences, and you got to count how many pinstripes is he wearing, right? How many pinstripes he got? You got to see, is the color, on the sneaker, is his sneakers blue or are they green? And you're supposed to pick and spot the differences. So my friends, spot the difference. Aaron's students, what do they share in common? Be a student of Aaron. Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom, Ohev et habiriyot umikarvan Torah. Which one of those is the odd one out? Which one of those 3? The last one. What's it missing? Shalom. The first 2 are about Shalom. He loves peace, chases peace. But the last one, Ohev et habiriyot, he loves the creations. Umikarvan la Torah. That does not seem to be about Shalom. So really, on a profound level, I want to share what the midah of Aharon HaKohen was. The midah of Aharon, more primary than Shalom, was his midah of loving the Jewish people. Because he loved the Jewish people, he could not bear to see them fight. So Ohev Shalom is really not the end point, the end game of what Aaron's trying to achieve. What is he trying to achieve? He's trying to achieve ahava, an expression of love that he has for them. And when you love somebody, what do you want? You want the best for them. So because he had love for them, what does he make sure that they have? If you love someone, what do you want to give them? Everything. Says the Gemara, Lo matzah kadosh baruch hu keli machazik bracha ela hashalom. God did not find any bracha, right? Any vessel that holds bracha more than shalom. So when Aaron blesses the people with shalom, what is he doing? He's giving them something to be able to hold all blessing. Because he loves them, he wants to bless them. If he wants to bless them, he blesses them with peace. Is everyone seeing this? Take a look at the beracha that every Kohen says. Before he gives the berachot that he gives to Am Yisrael, what does he say? Baruch atah Hashem, kenu mecha olam, shekil shanu, mimitzvotav v'tzivanu. JC? No, the one for the Kohen. His mind's on the left. He's nervous someone's going to throw it away. What does the berachat Kohen says? For Birkat Kohanim. Tzivanu levarech et amo Yisrael be'ahava. Did you hear that? The beracha is to bless the Jewish people be'ahava. What if you have a Kohen who hates somebody in the community and decides, I'm not blessing that guy? Halakha is, he can't go up to do the Dukhan. That's why we're very happy, JC, you have a big heart. Love everybody. Do you understand this? The bracha, what is it? That he commanded the Kohanim to bless the Jewish people? Be'ahava. Now, I always love the fact that that word be'ahava could be read in two different ways. One way is that they should bless the Jewish people with love. And the other way is they should bless them with love. One way is they should bless them, whatever they're blessing them with, but they should give that beracha with love. And the other one is that the blessing they give them should be the blessing of love. And what is the blessing of love? Aharon HaKohen loved the Jewish people with all of his heart. So if he loved them, what does Aaron do? He gives them berachot. My friends, according to this, really what I want to share is this interpretation of this Mishnah and Avot. So to be a student of Aaron, you need to love peace, you need to chase peace, and the final element in his beracha of shalom, which is synonymous with his love for the Jewish people, is Ohev et haberiyot mekarvan Torah. How is that relevant to peace? My friends, how many times is a person in a fight over something ridiculous? How many times is the matter of contention something that's unimportant? You see, petty people have petty grievances. Complex people who are sophisticated, their grievances are not simple. They're sophisticated. If you're a big person, the only thing that's going to make you upset is big things. If you're a small person, what makes you upset? Small things. So Aaron understands, if he wants the people that he loves to have the greatest bracha in the world, the blessing of Shalom, if that's what he wants, what does he need to do? He needs to inspire Am Yisrael to be bigger people. If you catch yourself getting upset all the time, stop saying, I'm sensitive. Making it out like it's a good thing. And start saying to yourself, maybe I need to raise my sights a little bit. Maybe I need to care about more important things. You ever see someone who gets really bent out of shape and you're like, what difference? What? You're out to eat with someone, the person's getting so annoyed, right? They have this fantastic dinner, right? And they're getting so annoyed that they try to flag down the waiter, and the waiter missed them once or twice. So annoyed. We're here for 3 hours. We're having a beautiful meal. Is it going to make a difference if the guy comes in another 60 seconds? So for 90 seconds you were without ketchup? Like, it's not. You look at someone like that, you're like, what is going on with you? And by the way, you know what's interesting? Whenever we see, and I just want to point this out, if you ever see someone get angry about something really dumb, you know what you're thinking in your mind? I mean, at least I know I am. What's really going on in this person's life? What do you have going on that you're getting angry over something so stupid? Do you ever think that? That means that getting angry over stupid things, that, my friends, is the cancer of machloket. If we only ever got angry about really important things, how often would we lose our temper? Now, my friends, I want to ask the people in this room, the people listening to this, what would you call a really important thing, something worth getting angry at somebody over? What would you call something very important? At the end of the day, Aharon tells us, Ohevet habiriyot umikarvan Torah. When he taught them the Torah, when he taught them what was important, when he changed their value system, suddenly, so many of the things that bother ordinary people, they just don't register. It doesn't matter. It's not important. My friends, if we want to be able to take from Aaron HaKohen and bring Shalom into our house, what do we need to do? There's 2 things that we need to do. The first thing is we need to learn to love people. The second thing we need to learn is to understand the proper value of things. Those are 2 separate aims. One is understand when you love people, you let them make mistakes. I understand. It's okay. You got something wrong. You didn't mean. You accused me, but I could see how all the fingers were pointing in my direction. Why are you looking at me? Well, there was no one else there. It's not that I have anything against you. I just thought it was probably you. Mechila, I'm sorry if not. But I just logically, it was, right? If a person loves somebody, then you're able to find answers for that person. You're able to find ways of judging the person favorably. If you hate the person, you know what you do? You look for every possible way to cast them in a bad light. So Shalom requires loving a person. That's the first element. The first part, Ohevet habiriyot. But my friends, the second part is Mikarvan Torah. So, I want to give you a little bit of homework. Here is some homework. I want you to choose to try for one day not to get upset about something simple, stupid, or petty. Yeah, can we try that maybe? Today might be a good day. Today might be a day where I could be a Yankee fan and not get upset that someone just walked in with a Guardians hat. Right? That is because it's a silly thing. It's a silly thing. Right? Doesn't matter, does it? Someone's you're playing a game about your teams. You see, sometimes we have an expert level trash talker in our Beit Knesset. Right? Expert level. And you could see some people enjoy, he takes it to a pro level. Right? Some people enjoy the back and forth. Some people, they actually get annoyed. Do you ever see people that get annoyed? Like, come on! What difference? What does it matter? One of the ways I like to encourage people to try and not let things bother them is to try and flip the scenario in your mind. What if I'm them? Guy came to me the other day. He said, Rabbi, he goes, it's out of control. It's a disaster. What's out of control? What's a disaster? This guy came up to me and he's hassling me. He asked me if I could help him. The back of the Beit Knesset. And sometimes there's more than one, and sometimes there's more than three. Sometimes there's a lot of people there. I said, what did he ask you for money for? I don't know, the guy's telling me his mother's dying in the hospital. I said, I hear. I said, it's a very difficult situation. I understand, it's hard. But you feel hassled, attacked, and I get it. But bar minan, 100 million times over. Bar minan. I said to this person, if it was your mother in the hospital, and you did not have the money to pay for her medication, and the only way to save your mom's life was to go around and collect money from people, $1 here, $5 there. And you see someone in a shul in Manhattan, and he looks like he's got it together, and he's wearing a nice watch, and nice shoes, and he's got a designer talit bag. You're gonna ask him to help save his mom's life? Or you're gonna, awkward to ask, so probably better not, rather let the mother moot. You understand? For 1 second, if you could switch clothes with the person, if you could just get into those shoes for 1 second, I think on some level, that's what Aharon HaKohen was an expert at doing. His ability was to be able to see things from the other person's perspective, no matter how much the other person's perspective was distant from his. And how do you do that? If you're so far to the right and he's so far to the left. How do you do that? You're so far in the right and this person's so far in the wrong. Rabbi, come on. I'm not asking you to justify, I'm not asking you to agree with them, I'm not asking you to say that they're right. All I'm asking is to have compassion for the position that they're coming from. Can you do that? That's what Aharon HaKohen asks. Famously, the Midrash tells us that Aharon HaKohen, he put many marriages together. Husband and wife, neither one of them wants to make a move. They're riding towards sunsetting their marriage to getting divorced. It's over. Aharon HaKohen would see the guy, he would go to the guy, he would tell him a little white lie, which the Gemara says is allowed for the sake of Shalom. What would he say? He would say, I just met your wife. Your wife told me she's devastated, she misses you. You're the best. She wishes she could apologize, but it's so hard to take the first step. It's so hard to be the one to come forward and be vulnerable and say, you know what, be the man. Be the man of the house. Even if it's not your fault, just apologize to her. You'll see. You'll see, she'll apologize in a second. And then what would he do? He'd go to the woman and he would say the same thing. I met your husband. Your husband feels terrible. He misses you. He sings Eshet Chayil every night as he cries himself to sleep. But, you know how men are, the ego, the testosterone, he's never gonna come forward. He can't. It's too hard. So you know what? You're soft. You have that sensitivity, that compassion. You've got that nurturing instinct. Maybe if you told him you were sorry, you'd see that he would also apologize for what he's done, for his part in this. What would happen? They'd see each other, and they'd run into each other's arms, and they'd be falling over each other to apologize to one another. My friends, I always think this. I always think this. How could it be that Aharon HaKohen, he opened up his marriage therapy practice and had that Aharon HaKohen, how many uvzmei does he have? How many moves does Aaron have? One. You don't have 50,000 methods to put a big Shalom Bayit classes. He's got one method. What's his method? He lies to both sides, tells them that the other guy doesn't want to make the first move. That's his one move. The Gemara says that after Aaron died, there was 80,000 children that followed the procession of the funeral, and all of the Jewish people cried at the funeral of Aaron HaKohen. Everyone cried, and all of the children were named, 80,000 children, named Aaron. Why? Because they were all children that were had from those marriages after they were put back together. So who they named the kid after? Aaron, the one that put them back together. My friends, 80,000 times that means he did this. I don't know what the guy does for a day job. All day long, the therapist is in. But my question always was, I don't understand how couple after couple after couple fell for this. Like eventually you'd imagine that one of them went on the speaker circuit, one of the couples goes to shul and says, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you, Aaron saved my marriage. The guy came to us, wasn't so true. We talked about it afterwards. She never went to him, I never went to him, but he got us back. I'm grateful for that. Don't you think eventually Aaron HaKohen word boomeranged back about his one trick? My friends, I think the answer is very profound. The answer is that it wasn't a trick, and the answer is that Aaron really wasn't lying. It was true that both of them had love for one another, because at one time they had decided that the only person in the world that they wanted to be with was who? Was that person. So there was love there. How do we get to a place where we're so far apart from one another? You know why? Because in the beginning, when we first started drifting apart, no one was man enough, not the man, not the woman, to be able to step forward and say, I said something I shouldn't have. I acted in a way I shouldn't have. So you know what happens? He said something, distance. She responds to that with more distance, with blaming, with a nasty word, more distance. Then something happens, they choose not to spend time together, more distance. Then they turn to the kids and they said, go tell your mother, your mother could be a very difficult woman. More distance. But where was their problem? Where was their problem from all of this? It was that when there was a surmountable hill, when all it took was someone turning to the other person and saying, I love you, I shouldn't have said that, they didn't do that. So what did Aaron do? He used his love for this Jew, the husband, and he used his love for this Jewess, for this wife, and he communicated to the husband what was so special about his wife, and he communicated to the wife what was so special about her husband. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Everything else just melts away. That's the midah of Aaron. Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. How does he love it? How does he chase it? How does he chase peace, which seems to be so far away that he needs to chase it? Simple solution. Ohev et habiriyot umekarvan laTorah. All you got to do is really love the people, believe in the people, see the best in the people, and then what happens? You want to teach them. You want them to have more, to have better. You raise their sights. You make them realize that through the Torah's eyes, most of what they're going through, it's really, someone told me once, the divorce rate is through the roof in the world. 70% now, divorce rate in America. In the Jewish community, traditional Jewish community, maybe slightly less. In the religious Jewish community, far less. But those numbers in the religious Jewish community have risen sharply. I would say, when I grew up, I don't know if there's, from my group of friends, maybe there's a couple, 1, 2 in your extended group of friends that got divorced, Bizor 102. Now what you're seeing is like a, the graph, like the Bitcoin graph before it goes that way, right? Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. And why? What's the reason? And I need to say this because this is so important. If you're married, it's so important. If you have a relationship with parents, with friends, doesn't matter. It's true about all relationships. My friends, our generation is instant. There was a Russian Jewish comedian back in the day who said he came to America and he saw everything is instant. Who knew, he says. I walked into the grocery store. I saw onion soup powder. Wow, instant, make onion soup. Amazing. Coffee powder, unbelievable. Jello powder, unbelievable. Making myself jello, fantastic. Says I went down one aisle, I saw baby powder. I thought I'm making my whole family tonight. Yeah. We live in a generation which is instantaneous. Okay? Now, what he talked about when I was a child is nothing compared to now. Can I ask, anyone here, you guys use Uber? Everyone here in Manhattan use Uber, right? If you call an Uber and it says 7 minutes, don't you all cancel?
Well, I'd rather walk.
Right? I'd rather walk. 7 minutes? Well, you out of your mind? I remember, by the way, anyone here remember a New York City? A New York City where if it was raining, it was gonna rain, it had just rained, it might rain, you could not flag a yellow cab? When the most ge'eh people in New York City was a yellow cab driver, where your hand, and the guy's got his lights on, and he looks up and down, decides whether or not he's gonna take you. Remember that? They pull over and they ask, where you going? Is that how cabs work now? They only take the jobs that they want. That's what it was like. You could wait a half hour for a cab. And by the way, the only way to wait for it was in the rain. Now I'm sitting in the restaurant, in my office, in the lobby, relaxing, reading the news. I can't wait 6 minutes. If it's 6 minutes, disaster. Right, could we just understand that? Used to be, you read the news, had to wait for the newspaper, come to your house. Right? That's what it was. Right? News Radio 88. If you turned on the news station at the wrong point in the news cycle, you had to wait for the cycle to go all the way around. Meteorologist Craig Allen. Right? You needed to get that guy. You needed to get the sports. You needed to get the thing until finally it came back to the news. Remember that? Now, to get the weather, we don't even want to go to the website that says weather.com. We need to have a widget on my phone that tells me if it's sunny outside. Now, right now. What time is it? You understand? We've become so instant. And my friends, it's not even about being spoiled. It's about being impatient. And that's what Aharon was so good at. Because oftentimes, the way we make our decisions is by taking one snapshot of how something is in this exact second and making a decision on an entire marriage on a second. Making a decision on a school for your children on 1 second. Bad teacher, okay. The guy has 42 teachers. If he has one bad teacher out of 42, those are pretty good odds. Pulling his kid out of the school. You think the other school is going to be 42 out of 42? It's not going to happen. But that's how we are. In fact, they did a study recently, and the study illustrated that people tend to give a tremendous amount of weight to whatever it is that they're thinking about or going through right now. And even though it might be a smaller thing compared to the wider experience of your life, if right now I'm thinking about it, I give more importance to it because I'm thinking about it now. So if you could pause, if you could stop, like Aharon HaKohen, what would happen? And you could pull out. You could say to yourself, who is this woman sitting opposite me? She just got me upset. But is that 1 out of 42? Is it 1 for 1? Is it 42 to 1? How does this rate? You know, the best baseball team in the world, the Yankees, the best baseball team in the world is going to lose a game. But there's no series that matters, right? That's not best out of 7. That's not best out of 5. It's the majority that counts. And my friends, it is my deepest and sincerest wish that on the day of Aharon HaKohen, we are able to do that not only for our wives and husbands, not only for our children. Your child really upset you, really disrespected you. Can I give you one example? A guy told me, at the first minyan on Shabbat once, he was very angry at his son. Why? Because his son said something, did something, and the tefillah, he didn't like it. So he said, come on. And I went over to him afterwards. I said, I saw you yelling. I saw you yelling at your son. He's a little boy, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. I saw you yelling at him. He said, yeah. He goes, the guy is sitting here in the shul and you're not paying attention, or he was talking. I said, he's here, and it's not even 8 o'clock on a Shabbat morning. And you know what? I saw him praying. Most of the time he was praying. So the kid said one word. He's 8 or 9 years old. He's here at 7 o'clock in the morning. And this is what you want to do. What's the father doing? When the hyper focus of this moment is the father right or wrong? He's right. But he's missing the bigger picture. Aren't we missing the bigger picture about people? About family? About Am Yisrael? About our lives? About how grateful we have to be in our lives? Aren't we missing the bigger picture? That, my friends, is the zechut of Aharon HaKohen. Baruch Hanei Le'olam. Amen.